everyone, and welcome to Card-Spiration number 14 for me. I got my inspiration for this card I saw on Pinterest. I just absolutely love it. It's a top note easel card, but I just loved how she created such a mixture of different papers. Like there's one there and one there and one there, and then the little flowers here with little brads, and the bigger flower and the leaf and the ribbon. Love this card. The detailing, the way she trimmed, it's a top note card, and then you know how it has that little tiny edge, so she trimmed all the paper around on each piece. It's just such a pretty card. So you know, once you're on Pinterest, if you click on the image, it takes you to the blog of the person that created this card. So her name was Ruth M., and her blog is flowersparkle.blogspot.com. So I want to give her all the credit for this card. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I didn't have the same paper line as she used here. I think that's a Stampin' Up! Designer paper, but I'm not sure of what line it was. So I got out my K & Company, and I'm using Amy Butler papers. So it took me a while to kind of coordinate what piece I wanted to use with what and how I wanted to do it. But I like the way it turned out. It's more in pinks and greens. So I'll show you what I came up with. Okay, there's lots of elements to this card, so the only way to start is at the beginning. So I use this really nice light gray for my card base. So what you're going to have to do is take your top note die, and to cut out the card, you place your folded cardstock a little bit down. So pretend this is the die. So this is the image of the die. Instead of putting it right on the whole thing, pull it down a little bit like that. So when it cuts out, it misses this whole section to cut out, and then you end up with a folded card like so. So you need one card like this, and then one full piece of cardstock. This is going to be the front of your card. So just put this over to the side for 1 second, and what you're going to do is fold this in half. Take your, whoops, sorry, I'm banging the camera there. Take your bone folder and just fold this right in half. So you're kind of matching up where the little top notes. And use your bone folder just to press it down. And that's really all you need to do on this piece for right now. So you can just set that aside. Now we're going to work on the front of the card. So here's our top note piece that we're going to be working on. And so what we're first going to do is I took, like I said, the Amy Butler paper. I love her paper. She also makes fabric, beautiful fabrics. So I cut around these two pieces already. I cut out that little tiny little edge. And then this is how I'm creating my front piece. So this is a separate piece than this one, as you can see. So I am just going to Scotch tape them together on the back side. So I'm just going to butt the two edges up together like so, and then just Scotch tape. Just like that. So then you get one full piece of paper with two different designs in it. You could overlap the two pieces or cut two and then put one on top or whatever, but this creates less bulkiness, and there's a lot of detail in this card, so we don't need any more bulk. So once that's done, you're going to take some Black Soot Distress ink and just ink around the edges of this card front in the black. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take some ribbon, and we're going to, see, you can notice where I taped it, it's not really joined really clean, but that's okay, because that's going to be hidden by ribbon. So I've got some really pretty pink satin ribbon. I don't know who this is by. It's just a nice pink satin piece. So I'm going to take my ATG gun and just on the back side, right on top of that Scotch tape, just run a little strip of ATG, and then we're going to have some ribbon. It's not going to be in a bow, it's going to be in a tie kind of off to the side, a little knotted. So we'll just snip some off here and then just knot it over on the side. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some flowers. I used the tattered floral die for this, and this is the flower that I cut. This one, that little medium flowered one. I cut one out of this paper and one out of the green paper, and we're just going to ink around them, put them together, and make a flower for the front of the card. So I'm again using the same ink that I used before, the black soot. Shows up really nice on this green. And then what I'm using to punch a hole is just one of those screw punches. This is the Martha Stewart one with the smallest opening. And actually I'll just put one in the center of each flower. For me it's just a lot quicker than going to grab your hole punch. I am now going to use these really pretty brads from Lost and Found. I have been checking out that peachycheap.com. Every night around 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, they put up something that's like 70% off the regular price. And so first come, first serve, and you buy the stuff, and it's so inexpensive. I got 4 packages of these Lost and Found brads for $6.99. And the shipping to Canada is only like $4, so you can't beat that. So I'm going to put this pretty pink, it's a really soft pink brad in this flower, and then I'm going to kind of overlap so you can see the green petals underneath, and just close that brad up just like that. And if you want to crinkle it up a little or raise it up, you can play around with your flower just to give it some more dimension. So that's going to go right about there. But before we do that, I actually should have done this step before the ribbon, but it's okay. We'll just tuck it in underneath. I took the this punch by Stampin' Up, and I'm using that branch one, and for this card you need 4 branches. And again, inking it with the black soot distress ink, especially the leaf part and the stem, and we're just going to be gluing that down, all 4 branches, just for our flower. It's going to be behind the flower a bit, so just play around with them. So I'm going to get all 4 done and attach my flower, and I'll be right back. So there's our card front piece. Now typically on a easel card, we would just mount this right on this and pop it up. But because we've trimmed away that little edge, we want to be able to see the gray all around. So first we're going to mount it on here, and then mount it through this flap here, matching up the notches. And also we're going to take yet another piece of coordinating paper from the same pack. It's the same piece of paper that the little flowers are punched out with, and we're going to trim along that little edge, ink it, then we're going to stick it inside of the card, and obviously it's not going to fit because the card was folded down. So you're just going to trim it off. What I did is after I trimmed that edge off, which will be like about that, then I just folded this down and cut off the top piece there, and then just shove the card back in. Okay, just a couple more elements and our card will be complete. So here is our card. We don't have our easel yet, and I've mounted that one inside, so there's the card. So what we're going to use for our sentiment, I am using the Well Scripted stamp set, the Happy Birthday stamp. It's a Stampin' Up set. So I'm just going to, I used the, what do you call them, those Sizzix, the little Sizzix die cuts that are all top note. So I think it was the 2nd or 3rd size in, because the punch I had was just a little bit too square shaped and just not big enough for this stamp. But I wanted to keep everything in the top note kind of theme. So I'm going to stamp it a little bit over to the side, just a bit. So we've got Happy Birthday on the gray, and I'm going to ink that up again with the Black Soot Distress ink. And then just on the little side of wherever there's a good spot, I think I'll pick it right there, I've got this little flower punch. It comes from the triple flower punch from Stampin' Up! This one here. And I'm using that little one right there. And so it's just a wee little flower. Just going to ink it up as well. Just going to stick it in my hand and just kind of put a little, crinkle it up a bit so it gets like some dimension again. See? Going to take this same little punch thing, find the center, boom. And here's another brad from that same set. And it's a little bit more glittery. It's blingy brad. So there, so we're just gonna, I like to, if the brads are too wide or long, the prongs of it, I just cut them off, but close your eyes to protect your eyes just in case it goes flying. I'm just going to use a teeny tiny bit of glue gun glue. My glue gun's way over here. Just on the back of that, just to make sure that little flower doesn't fall off. And I think I'll put it right down here in the corner. Doesn't really matter where you put it. Just like that. Just add a little pop to our sentiment. Then I'm going to take some foam tape. And again, this just raises this up because we're making an easel card. So we want to make sure our sentiment is raised up high enough. Pop it on the back like so. And peel off the paper. And we'll place this right about here. So there we have our really pretty easel card. I just loved this card when I saw it. It is just so lovely, and I was so inspired. So I've got another one made over here, and I've got enough cut out. See, on this one you can see I put the flower there. So it just depends on where you stamp the words, the sentiment. So I've got another one. I've got another 3 of them ready to make because I love this. And my daughter-in-law has a birthday tomorrow. So I'm going to give her one of these. I love this card, particularly if you have remnants left over of a particular designer series paper pack. You could use up all those pieces, and because they all kind of coordinate together, and make some of these really pretty top-note easel cards. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.